Today we're going to interview Erin Eads about being an out-of-state veterinary student. Thanks for being here, Erin.
No problem.
So our first question is, just could you tell us a little bit about what state you grew up in and what college you went to for undergrad?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm from the great state of Arkansas, one of the very few. And I've been there since I was 10. So I was a military brat, basically. And so we moved there so that my dad could work at Little Rock Air Force Base. And so that's where I went to junior high and high school. And then I actually ended up going to Arkansas State University in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And that's where I did my 4 years of undergrad before coming to vet school.
So what veterinary schools did you apply to?
Oh man, so I applied to Texas A&M, of course, University of Tennessee, University of Florida, Louisiana State University, and Oklahoma State University.
So what made you choose Texas A&M over the rest?
So funny story, actually when I was little I used to watch Animal Cops with my mom, and I was obsessed with the Houston SPCA, and I looked at her and I was like, I want to go to vet school and I want to save animals and I want to go to Texas A&M because that's where the Houston SPCA is. A little bit off, but it was close enough. And so really it was my dream school. And as an Arkansas resident, I didn't think it was feasible because I didn't think that A&M offered in-state tuition until I actually came down here for my interview. And luckily and unfortunately for me, it was my first interview out of my 5, and A&M had just built their new vet school complex, so I literally walked in and had like tears in my eyes because it looked like a hotel. I mean, it's a beautiful complex, and I just knew I needed to come here. And then it was like a slight moment of despair because I was like, I'm not going to be able to come because tuition's going to be too high. And then I actually get in and found out that out-of-state students get in-state tuition if they keep a certain GPA. So it all worked out. So my 5-year-old dream came true.
That's awesome. So what are some of the advantages you found with coming to A&M from out of state and an undergrad experience from out of state?
So one of the cool things about being from Arkansas and them not sending very many veterinary students is that when you go through your undergrad university, you're kind of a unique person because you want to go to vet school, and professors really lock onto that because Arkansas is in desperate need of veterinarians, and so people really want to invest in you. So I got to do a lot of opportunities through our ag program and through our biology program in a joint effort. Just a lot of communication and a lot of openness, and I get to become really close with my professors because of that fact, because people were just really excited and they wanted to see me go to veterinary school. And sometimes I feel like that can be lost on a bigger institution or one that even has a veterinary school because they're so used to sending people to those schools.
Awesome. So what are some of the disadvantages you found with coming from out of state?
Well, it's unconfirmed, but I may be one of the only people from Arkansas State that's ever come to A&M for vet school. So I was kind of on my own in that regard. I had a couple friends that went to Louisiana State because they're a contract state, but A&M, I had no one that could give me advice. I knew absolutely no one coming in. I met like 2 other out-of-state people at my interview, but that was about it. And so that was kind of scary because I was moving 9 hours away, didn't know where to live, didn't even know what I was doing, but it ended up being really good.
Awesome. And so what are 3 pieces of advice you could give someone who is considering vet school out of their own state?
My first piece of advice would be to do your research, especially with tuition costs. You don't realize, and this is from personal experience, you don't realize how much you will have to take out in loans until you get there, until you start veterinary school. So that would be my first piece of advice. Look for the school that fits you, but also one that fits cost-wise. My second piece of advice would be to be open and don't judge a book by its cover. So especially with like looking at vet schools only through the website, you never know what you're actually going to see until you get there, and you really can't, even from appearance. A lot of these vet schools that you go to are older, like 80 years old, but they might have some of the best people there. So just be open and be willing to accept any type of experience. And then my third piece of advice would be when you go to those schools to ask specific questions that are related to your interests. So for example, I'm really interested in surgery. So one of the big things for me was I wanted to know how many solo surgeries you do, how much hands-on experience you get in the teaching hospital, and that was really different depending upon the school and depending upon their interests.
Awesome. Well, thank you for shedding light on this topic.
No problem.